for people. People need to feed their families. People need to, even when people feel that they have succeeded, the fact that they can look back just one generation back and see that level of poverty is sort of a constant reason for people to want to amass all kinds of wealth, insane amounts of wealth, obscene amounts of wealth, just because they don't feel a certain level of comfort, because they can see the poverty all around them and they don't want to be part of it. But that said, that's not going to be the path that will lead us to where we want to be as a continent, as a people, as a society. So it's extremely important that the wealth from sort of ill-gotten wealth can keep us for a certain period. But the question is, and we're seeing this across the continent, where there's an increased emphasis on anti-corruption. There's an increased emphasis on using legal means to punish persons who've been involved with crime and retrieve the process of such crimes from those people. I think that for the vast majority of people, the more that we see these prosecutions, the more that we see consequences for unethical behavior, for illegal conduct, criminal conduct, people will be better advised and will steer clear of these things. A good name goes a long way. Wealth and riches may be useful for the time being, but ultimately in the long run, I think that the people that will be happiest and that will make the most contributions to our country, my country in particular, and the rest of the continent, are the people who are mindful of how their actions affect all the members of society, and who in general act in a way that's in the best interest of our society. Corruption is something we have to end. Illegal behaviors are things that we have to end. We cannot continue to have a system where people, quite frankly, it doesn't really matter the level of economics. I know it sounds a bit harsh and maybe lacking in empathy to say it, but regardless of how difficult our economic situations are, I don't think that we should engage in illegal activity or in unethical conduct, because the more we do it, then the more we perpetuate that poverty, the more we perpetuate those situations that will not allow our countries, our economies to grow at the pace that they ought to.
Wow. Wow. Thank you for that. I think we're going to quote you over and over again, Shadrach. For me, it's music to my ears hearing that, a young man has scaled the heights and made continental achievements while being ethical. And my mom always says, ill-gotten wealth disappears in a minute. You spend years and years making it, and then, it disappears. And we've seen this. Right now, we're having an iron sheet saga in my country. You'd want to Google that when you want to console yourself about Nigerian corruption. And every day, we see our countries put on different indices, on indices of corruption, indices of accountability, and yet at the same time, we want to grow Africa. We want to grow, and Shadrach, I don't know what you think about this, but our ideology at the Fidelis Leadership Institute is that Africa has everything we need to succeed. The only thing failing us is the ethics of our leadership. So we believe that we actually have to be very intentional in making ethical leadership, should I say sexy, attractive to the young generation. Because, I don't know how, there is an African proverb that says you cannot correct a bent tree. So I don't want to speak for those that have gone before us. But for those that are coming after us, we need to set a tone, the right tone. What would you say from a financial, from a leadership, from a legal, from an in-house counsel perspective? Right now, online, we have lawyers, we have journalists, we have people that are leaders in their different institutions. We have Smart 24. We have young people and middle management. They're all listening, even top management. What would you say is the way forward for Africa? How do we infect every African with ethics the way they've been infected with corruption?
Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. And I think you're absolutely right that the failure of leadership is one of our biggest problems. And this obviously comes with it the failure of enforcement of breaches of lawful and ethical standards that have been set for ourselves in our society. I think that we need to, first and foremost, I think what you're doing is extremely important, and that is educating people on why we need to conduct ourselves in a manner that's ethically appropriate, a manner that sort of allows us to satisfy, meet our ethical obligations, whether it's within our jobs and institutions, whether it's within our personal lives. I think it's very important that there's a lot of education to let the young people and indeed all members of our society see the benefits, see that and understand that the benefits of conducting ourselves in an ethical and legal manner far outweigh the quick gains from unethical and criminal behavior. As you mentioned earlier, ill-gotten wealth will disappear very quickly. So we do need to consistently, and this cannot be just a one-off effort. As a society, as a people, as in our respective countries, we need to take steps to educate everyone on the benefits of conducting ourselves in an ethical manner. And this, in my case, and in the case of people who may be listening, who work within law firms and companies, this could take the form of capacity building training programs for different people within the organization, particularly from the senior level all the way down, because it's important that the tone is set from the top and so on. And, there also has to be a rewards system. So that we have a system
absolutely, yes.
People
we're very quick to pull out the stick, actually, now that you mention it. And also sometimes, I think sometimes ethics are sort of derided in environments, in high-level environments which are highly capitalized. I'm sorry to say this, but I think that capitalism and corruption are twins. So, yeah, please just continue.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. In this sort of environment, there's obviously a big incentive to act even more unethically. We've seen several cases throughout history, both here in the continent and in the Western world, where the sort of intent or the desire to make more money has always caused problems, has led to big scandals. We're very familiar with, I think I'll probably mention the Enron scandal, and even maybe much worse, the General Motors scandal of 2015, where different members of the executive management of the company knew about what was going on, knew that a faulty system was causing death, a faulty system in General Motors cars was causing the airbags to fail to deploy. But the company has sold millions and millions of these cars around the world, certainly hundreds of thousands of them around the world. And the question was, well, if this were to come out to the public, it'd be a big scandal. There'll be recalls of several motor vehicles. And rather what happened was that the company chose to keep it under the wraps. Lawyers obviously were involved in this. And
we're always involved.
In fact, what the lawyers at General Motors did was to create a system where even when they had meetings to discuss these issues, the rule was nobody brings a notepad into the meeting, nobody takes notes or minutes of meeting, because they wanted to create plausible deniability, where they could in the future say, well, actually, there's no way of proving that we were aware of what was going on. So these are the sorts of ethical improprieties that we see, not just in those societies, but in ours as well, maybe even more in ours. So, ultimately, a lot of those people lost their jobs. Some of them went to jail. The company itself paid out millions and millions in fines to the families of people who've been affected by the accidents, who suffered injuries when those cars crashed and didn't have the protections that they thought they had from their airbags. But what's the moral? What can we draw from this? It's ultimately, at the end of the day, while it may have seemed sensible to try to cover up what was going on and not disclose it and take responsibility for what had gone wrong, the price that was paid in the end was quite significant. These people lost their jobs, lost their livelihoods, went to jail, and so on. So yes, we have to create a reward system, but we also have to create a system where we can punish people who breach accepted moral and ethical and legal standards.
Wow. Well, also, what's coming out of this this bank, this Silicon Valley bank issues? You've seen them.
Yes.
You know, it's coming out. Only one board member had any information. You know, right now, I think according to, we have a Ugandan case, Jamwa versus, I think, Republic of Uganda versus Jamwa, and they talked about the measure of the responsibility, the duty of a board member when it comes to skill. And they said that it's no longer the measure of the reasonable man. It's about expecting a board member to have the skill and knowledge to actually execute their work. Now, if you have only one board member in a financial institution that understands what's going on, that's huge, and it's very embarrassing that the corporate governance at such a level can be like this. So you're very right, Shadrach. I'd like at this point we are winding up very quickly, to just allow one or two people to ask you questions. Members, you're also, because we really enjoyed listening to Shadrach and decided a bit late, I want to apologize. Please put your questions in the chat, and I'll just allow one or two or three people to speak. Some people, I think, have already been allowed. They had asked earlier. Let's have them say something. If you've been a meta speaker, please just switch on your microphone and ask your question, and then let's proceed. Anyone with a question? In the meantime, I think, Shadrach, guys, it's the last chance that you have right now to explain to us whether Shadrach has run in 4 marathons, or whether he is what's the other one?
Whether he was
whether he's a recording artist, you know. Please let us know whether Shadrach has a song out, or he's run in 4 marathons. Choose which one is true and which one is a lie. By the end of the questions, Shadrach will do the big reveal. So who has a question or comment? Anybody? Just request. Our admin is ready to let you speak. Is there anyone from Nigeria who wants to say hello to Shadrach, who escorted him? Okay, do we have questions? Okay, right now we don't have anybody. Huh? Oh, okay. Apparently, Shadrach, everybody was asking whether you were single, whether you have a life, and I think they feel they've been answered, because you've done such a fantastic job answering all our questions. If I may ask you one more question, especially when it comes to the aspect of financing. Are you there, Shadrach?
Yes, I am.
Yeah. Yes. When it comes to the aspect of financing, money, and lastly, just to say this to the entrepreneurs on board, how important are your ethic checks when you're going to deal with a financial deal with another institution?
Thank you very much. Thanks. I think I'll take an order in which you asked it. We certainly do. We do PPPs, and we also do sort of private financing of infrastructure projects. We do not invest equity in the project. So a lot of what we facilitate is really local currency debt financing into the project. We believe in local currency. A lot of the business.
I actually appreciated that. I appreciated that local currency debt financing. Fantastic. Yeah. I'm going to introduce you to our government. Yes.
I mean, So we think it's extremely important because a lot of the projects that have failed on our continent have been because they've borrowed in dollars, or in other foreign currencies. It doesn't really make a lot of sense. Our businesses are based here, and we're collecting local currency revenues.
Absolutely,
It only makes sense that we match our financing in the currency in which our revenues are. So that's part of what we try to do. Our remittance is limited to Nigeria at the moment, even though we're looking increasingly at all the countries in partnership with some of our...
The rest of Africa. By the way, for your information,
yes.
Nigeria is 200 million people. East Africa, before Congo joined us, was 300 million people. The whole of East Africa. That's about 5 countries. Now, with Congo coming on board, we're boasting that we're almost on the 1 billion mark. So right now, East Africa, which is, by the way, we're more fun than West Africa for some reason, because you guys have intense weather. I think that you need to sort of, push some of your money here in the name of the CFTA. I had to speak up for my people here.
Oh, absolutely. And I think one of the things that we're doing is just building partnerships across the continent. I was in Nairobi a few months ago, and it's all part of our effort to sort of build partnerships across the continent.
I hope you come to Kampala soon.
I will. I actually do have friends I actually do have friends who are from Uganda, so it will be nice and fun to visit. So we have partners such as the ATI, the Africa Trade Institute, the Africa Trade Insurance Institute. So I think partners like that, partners like the Africa Guarantee Fund, and a number of others are making waves across the continent. And I think our objective is to continue to work with such entities, both local and international, to see how we can do business in more countries on the continent. Really.
Is it Nigerian owned? Is it a locally owned bank?
No, it's not. At the moment, a large chunk of our ownership is the UK government and a number of G6 countries. However, we're increasing the local ownership. Our target is that local ownership should account for somewhere around 50%. We're around 20% at the moment, but we're looking to grow that to 40, 50% thereabouts, yes.
Well, I'm proud to say that the CFTA fund has now just been established in Kigali, Rwanda, and that's probably going to also mean a lot. But I think I'm going to invite you again. We need to have a conversation around trade and how to ensure that organizations like yours get in the fray and help our little countries. But thank you so much, Shadrach. This has been fantastic. I just want you to tell us to do the big reveal. Have you been running? Have you been jogging? I know that a lot of lawyers run, so I think I would have guessed that you were doing the marathon. And you're an overachiever, I must judge you. So I think the marathons seem more like it. But seeing as you told me you have a life, you could also be a recording artist. So please tell us, which is which? The big reveal.
Well, that's a nice drum roll. Well, I am not a recording artist. I did record a song when I was in university with a bunch of friends.
Oh wow!
So that is the correct answer. It was.
I think that's my favorite. I think that was my favorite answer. Thank you. You've won. And I have some people in studio with me doing thumbs up, excited. They might ask me for your number later on. So Shadrach, it's been a pleasure. It's been really wonderful having you at the Fidelis Leadership Institute. We have been online in our 7 East African countries with Smart 24 TV. We have also been on Twitter Spaces at the Fidelis Leadership Institute. And the recording will stay on our pages, and we're also going to transform it into a podcast. So we're really excited that you've done this with us. Thank you for taking the time. I know your billables are through the roof. So we are really grateful on behalf of everybody at the Fidelis Leadership Institute. We thank you for being a leader that is faithful to his mandate, that is available to the people that he needs to serve and his stakeholders, and that is teachable in his reputation. We're very proud of you. And if there was anything that was discouraging you from remaining,
people like you going ahead of us. I also want to thank Smart 24 TV for partnering with us. It's a business television station that's all over East Africa, and that is also trying to ensure that everything that we're aspiring for in the development of Africa is achieved, starting from here, the center of good things in Uganda. Ladies and gentlemen, our faithful listeners and attendants of the Twitter space, thank you, my fat people. We'll see you next Thursday. We have an exciting speaker all the way from Canada that is going to speak to us about technology, ICT, and innovation. So looking forward to seeing you on Thursday. This recording will be available on Fidelis Leadership Institute pages and on the Smart 24 pages. Have a good evening and enjoy the rest of Women's Month.